is happening, you guys? Welcome back to Let's Go Win podcast, where we're here to help you win from within. I have an incredible gentleman that's coming on that is going to help talk about, well, he definitely is going to talk about an amazing part of what you can do with hard assets, how he has done extremely well with commercial real estate, and he shares all of that knowledge in an awesome book that he's put together. But what you're going to get out of this is really the mindset more than anything throughout. He just has this incredible growth mindset, and something that it was definitely impressed upon throughout the interview. He talks about being grateful and so many of these powerful things that you continuously hear from people that have done well in life. So I'm really excited to have you meet Ben Reinberg, who is the founder and CEO of the Alliance Consolidated Group of Companies, a leading force in commercial real estate investment, a trusted expert in deal structuring, equity raising, and asset management. Ben is known for building trust quickly, bridging complex transactions, and solving problems with creativity and precision. His optimistic, resourceful leadership sets him apart in a market where opportunities often feel scarce. Well, Ben, what is up, brother? Good to see you, man, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule.
Thank you, Jam. What a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to adding a lot of value to your audience. So thanks for having me.
No, it's truly my pleasure, and there's no doubt that that's going to happen. I'm curious because I was reading your bio, and it's pretty humble, man. Just kind of seems to be your personality. You're pretty laid back, dude. Kind of have that personality that you're not going to tell us how awesome you are, but I know you're doing some pretty cool stuff. So I'm curious, man, what got you in to saying, you know what, commercial real estate, I'm going to crush it in this world. This is my path. Was this from family background? How did you know this was your path?
Well, I grew up from very humble beginnings. I didn't come from money. I grew up in Chicago area. It's my home, even though I live in California. Chicago will always be my home. And it's where I'm from. And you know, I have those Midwestern values, JM. And that was instilled with me is you don't have to explain who you are. You let your actions speak for your words. And I would see, for me, being from Chicago, I would see some of the wealthiest families in the world that live there. And I wanted to understand, how did they build wealth? I didn't come from wealth. I didn't understand it. But I knew that someday that's where I was going to head, and I was do whatever it takes. And so I had an incredible background. I always worked when I was young, from 8 years old all the way to now as an adult. And I have an incredible work ethic. I don't take anything for granted. And I never forget the day I started. And so what that does is it humbles you. And I've learned from some of the greatest billionaires and mentors in the world. And they always taught me is you don't have to talk about what you own or what you've done. You know what you've done. Let your actions speak for your words. You don't have to tell anyone. And I see that. And now that I'm online and I'm on social media, that flipped the whole script for me, which was very difficult. To get online for me was extremely difficult to talk about, you know, wins and things I've done and experiences I have and share with the world who I was. That was not a comfortable situation, but I had to sit in it and appreciate and say, you know, I was put on this earth to help people and create impact. And if I could share my story of what I was be able to accomplish, just imagine what a young man or a woman out there listening or that sees me out in the ether could accomplish. And so it led me to my book, which is Hard Assets and Hard Money for Hard Times. I didn't have to write this book, JM. But when I wrote the book, I did it for the public. I did it for you. I did it for the people out there to say, this is how you build a hard asset empire. This is how I've done it. I've consulted not only with my experiences, but also with billionaires around the world that have done this as well. And so coming from Chicago, I realized that the way to wealth was through hard assets. And one of the best hard assets in the world is commercial real estate. So I doubled down and said, okay, well, how do I learn and grow from this? Now, I didn't take a very familiar path that people do in my business. They get into brokerage, they learn it different ways. I jumped in right as a principal. I went to Indiana University. I was grateful I had the chance to go there. It was one of the top business schools in the world when I was there. And I graduated in 1992. Not to date myself, I'm 55 years old. And so when I graduated, the economy was terrible in the early 90s. And so I remember my mom said, go get a job. I got a job as a CPA. And I was on an audit with a billionaire, and he exposed me and said, you're really more of an entrepreneur. You're not really much of an accountant. And so you should be looking at doing stuff on your own. I decided to switch gears and get into commercial real estate. And I learned, and I jumped in as a principal. I bought my first deal in Northbrook, Illinois. It was a 95,000 square foot industrial building. I tell this story online frequently. And lost 45% of the income in the first week. Learned what due diligence really meant. Backfilled it, made a 310 building. We sold it for a 3x multiple, and that's what launched me and continued on. And we built millions of square feet of office industrial, done hundreds and billions of dollars of transactions throughout the United States. And I was very fortunate because the internet wasn't prevalent. So I had to learn this that we're doing. I had to learn the art of communication. I had to learn how to negotiate and how to deal with people, how to deal with challenges, how to grind and be persistent, how to raise equity. And I learned all this from my own experiences. I didn't have the online to learn from someone else or take a course or a class like we do now, or even the classes that are behind my book now to learn how to build a hard asset empire. I didn't have that luxury. And so for me, I've been fortunate enough because I can pick up the phone and have a conversation with anyone. I could do a Zoom call and create impact. And that's unique talent. And I look at it, and it's kind of lost art in the society is everyone hides behind their texts and emails and everything. And so the art of communication has been lost. And I know it's being taught online significantly in sales and different ways to approach people in human psychology. But I had to learn it on my own. And that allowed me to get to this point in my life. And so for me, I'm extremely grateful. I came from a great background to learn and grow. And I'm self-taught, and I teach myself every day. I'm big into listening. I'm big into personal development to continue to grow and learn and become a better person. And so at the end of the day, that's why I wrote the book. I wrote the book to let people know that you can do this, but it's hard work. It's not for the faint of heart. You got to roll up your sleeves. You got to show up every day to work and continue to push forward. And a lot of people think things are just handed to you. Nothing was handed to me. Everything is earned in what I've done. And I'm extremely grateful and proud to have incredible people along the way that have helped and supported me. I have a wonderful leadership team at Alliance Consolidated Group of Companies, my company. We're based in Chicago. We have offices around the country. And I've been fortunate enough, I sit in Newport Beach in our West Coast office. But at the end of the day, I tell people, if you want to build wealth, a great way to do it is through hard assets. And if you pick up a copy of my book, I will show you in a visual and actionable way how to build a hard asset empire. And if you want to go a level deeper, you could take the coursework that supplements it, that brings the book to life. And so that's what I've been able to do.
Yeah, man, it's incredible. One thing that you mentioned a bunch I want to touch on, but it feels like no matter what, or the two things that I'm familiar with. So you go in, you're a principal, and like you said, you lost, I think you said 45% straight out of the gate. And yet you 3X, you ended up that turning into gold and built into the empire you've built today. You also mentioned going into social media. And guys, he's got like 3.5 million or more followers on Instagram. And you said that wasn't exactly something, that was natural to you, wasn't necessarily your cup of tea. And yet it feels like, Ben, when you commit to something, you kind of turned it to gold, man. And I'm just curious. I know it's not all sunshine and rainbows. I know behind all that, the big followers, there's a lot of work that goes into it. But I am curious, brother, what do you feel like you've learned along the way where, commercial real estate, I've seen where it's gone up, it's gone down, and it's not always like, oh yeah, this is the place to be. In fact, it wasn't long ago I heard, commercial real estate, everything's going down and this is not where to be. And yet you're writing an incredible book saying, look, guys, there's a great opportunity. hard money or hard assets and hard money for hard times. So I'm curious. I'm trying to keep it to one question. What has been a key to your success throughout, if you've encountered hard times, which I know you have at some point? We all have, but I'm just
Absolutely.
curious. Well, how did you kind of deal with that, and do you have a
And
process that you do?
it's great because not only am I teaching how to build a hard ass empire, I am giving actual lessons in the book where like real life deals and stories where things didn't go well, or I made a mistake, or I learned from it. So people can be higher on the learning curve. But for me, to answer your question, it's really been persistence and resilience. It's showing up. It's not taking things for granted. It's having gratitude. It's the little things I've been able to incorporate working on myself to be able to endure challenges that have come up in my career. And it's being consistent. And our core values at the company is transparency, integrity, consistency, and expertise. And so I knew that if I continue to become an expert and continue to grow in my knowledge and my intelligence in commercial real estate, I'd be able to handle any challenge. And I realized in commercial real estate, it's about the ability to hold. And when you have the ability to hold, you could ride through cycles. And that is the key principle in commercial real estate. It's not about location. It's not about anything else. It's the ability to hold. It's, do I have enough reserves to deal with tough times? Did I not over leverage my property? I talk about all these things, not only in the book, but in public too, of how to really protect yourself. Because the hard asset empire that you're building for everyone out there is not only going to teach you how to build it and compound it, but I'm also going to teach you how to retain it and defend it. And that's really important. And so for me, how I learned all this was through resilience and persistence and showing up and being obsessed. And if you watch my TV show, season 2 is called Obsessed. And I was teaching this to my leadership team the other day. We do a morning call. And we talked about obsessed and what the benefits of being obsessed. I was obsessed. I still am. It creates focus and consistency. And I am focused on my niche. And when you build a hard asset empire, JM, what I teach is I don't need to know everything. As a CEO and a founder, I need to bring in amazing talent and amazing resources around me. That's what I've learned. And that's a secret. But the reality behind the situation is that I focus on my niche. I am a commercial real estate expert. I'm not into crypto. I'm not into artwork. You can name whatever hard asset you want to buy, okay? I'm not a stocks and bonds expert. I'm commercial real estate. But what I do is if I'm building my hard asset empire, I'm going to invest in what I call smart money. Smart money are people that have been there, done that. They have a great track record. They have integrity. They align with my values. And I could shepherd my capital into someone else and leverage it. And leverage is a very key word, is leverage into talent and technology of someone else to continue to grow my hard asset empire. And I talk about this in my book. And so I tell people in life, you get rewarded for focus. And if you focus hard enough and stay on the ball and don't distract and don't get let down of, hey, this didn't work out, you're gonna have failures. Okay. I've had deals that maybe didn't work out as well as I thought it should be. I was shocked. I had maybe lenders that turned their back on me after having hundreds of millions of dollars with them in loans. I've seen it all. And I've seen the lack of loyalty and I've seen the lack of integrity. But it doesn't mean you fall into those graces. You handle yourself at a higher level. And I talk about all these things in the book because the reason why I wrote the book is I wanted it to be evergreen. I wanted everyone to be able to pull it off the shelf. I give away a free hard asset blueprint to show you how to build it. And basically you can pull it off every day, every week, every month, whatever is comfortable for you to look at it. So I wrote it for not only the Ben Reinberg 32 years ago, who was just getting started. I also wrote it for the billionaire. Because the billionaire can look at it and say, you know what, I didn't think about this, or I got to amend this in my plan, or I have to do more succession planning, or things have changed in my life. And so it's for everyone to use the blueprint and really assess what they want out of life and how they can build their own empire.
Yeah, one of the things when I you talk to people about whether it be commercial real estate or real estate in general, one of the things I hear often is, well, I don't have that discretionary income sitting around, Ben. So that sounds great, man. I'll read the book but I just don't have that money. And I know you said 95,000 was your first project back, at early 20s, and now you built it into this awesome empire. But what would you say to those people that are saying that right now, that they're like, Ben, sounds great. I read the book. Thank you so much. Practical. And maybe they read the book and maybe you dispel all of those things.
I do.
Okay, cool. But so for my listeners that haven't had a chance to read the book, because I hear it all the time. And even myself, there are times where I'm like, well, I'm tied up here. I don't have the capital to do this. I don't maybe have the knowledge. What do you say to those people?
Well, I'll say that I didn't come from money. I didn't have 2 nickels in my bank account when I got started. And I went out and I raised capital. And I was in my early 20s. So if you can imagine how scary that is, even though I had a financial understanding, I put together a package. I did the right thing. I started locally, which I teach people to start locally because your resources are there. Get referrals. You could raise capital for anything you do, whether you're buying a company, you're buying commercial real estate, whatever hard asset is you're looking at is you don't need money. Also, let's say you're employed, for everyone out there listening. If you have $100 of disposable income, you could use that to start investing and start building your empire and growing. And as your income grows, then you can grow too. I don't recommend for anyone. I mean, I started my own business at a young age with no money. You know how scary that is? But I knew that if I fail, I would just go back to where I was at in the first place, 0. So I was able to take the risk. And so for everyone out there listening, you can do it. It's really a lot of mindset. It's a lot of drive and persistence. It's being smart, but you got to commit. You got to be obsessed. Show me your friends, show me your future. You're not going out with your buddies on Friday night and drinking a beer. You got to get rid of those things. You got to look at the people around you. Are they on the same page? You even have to look at family and say, where do they fit in my life and where I'm going? And I've had to make some hard choices for everyone out there of who I want around me. It could be eliminating family. It could be friends. It could be colleagues, employees, whatever it is, because I was on a mission and I wasn't going to let anyone stop me. So if you're determined and you're persistent, you can do it. But the problem, Jam, is everyone makes excuses. It's too tough. I don't have money. I've heard it all. But I didn't come from money. I went out and raised it for my first deal. Okay? I couldn't invest in that deal. I didn't have any money. I raised it 100% equity in the deal. I got a loan through a contact of mine. My godfather in Chicago got me the loan. And I went out there and did it. And I worked hard. And I worked that deal. I sold it. I was the broker on record, even though I'm principal. I have my Illinois broker's license. I'm the one who sold the deal. So I could see every side of the transaction, what to do, not to do in a sale, how it worked, what due diligence looked like. It was my learning curve. And I put my heart and soul into it. And that was, I blocked out everything and I made it my life. And that's what it is. It's that determination, that obsession, and that focus, and leveraging other people's capital and talent to learn and grow from. And so if you're out there and you don't think you could do it, that's your mindset, because you can. And you don't need a lot of money to get in and do what I do. You just need time, and you need to focus and be obsessed and learn and grow and work on yourself. And if you could do all these things, you'll attract the people in life that you need to get to where your desired outcome is. So I am a big no excuse guy. I don't like excuses. I think excuses are for weak people. And I've said that online before, and I stand behind it, because excuses are for people that just don't want to run through the fire, that don't want to deal with hard times. And I talk about in the book, you're going to deal with hard times. You're going to deal with a deal doesn't go well. You're going to deal with a lender calling a loan. You're going to deal with, excuse my language, bullshit that you never even thought existed. It's not about how you react. It's about how you respond. And how you respond to challenges shows the character of a human being. And that's what I've been able to do. And so I'm not a big excuse guy. I don't acknowledge excuses. I think excuses are for weak people. So there's no excuse. It's really about, you want to know, how can I get something done? Who can help me? How? And you go out. And the nice thing is, with technology, you can learn from people. I didn't have that advantage. You can go online and learn. You could take courses. You can DM people. LinkedIn's an incredible resource to build a board if you have to. So there's so many things you could do out there to leverage into talent. I get DM'd all the time from young men and women. Hey, can you give me advice? Isn't that? It's why I said I'm going to write the book, because, I quickly learned that most people don't understand, Jam, how to build generational wealth. And I wrote this book because people ask me, hey, can you take a look at my portfolio? Can you give me a feedback on investment I'm looking at? Or they've asked me, how do I get involved in what you do in commercial real estate? And I teach them that. I teach them, hey, start investing with us and learn and grow and go on the learning curve and see how we do things. And most people don't understand assets and money and time. And time's your biggest resource. And so we realize, we deal with a lot of doctors that are investors of ours because we're one of the leaders in medical office ownership in the United States. And we realize most doctors don't understand how to invest. They don't understand about commercial real estate, and they want to own it in their own building. And then we teach them, it's better off you sell it to us and lease it back. And so I realized when I wrote the book, I needed to take another step further. I said, how do we go deeper? Okay, we write the book. One thing I realized is we all read books, okay? And you read a book, and then a month later, you forget what's in the book. And I said, I'm going to go a level deeper. Okay. I want people to be able to have this book forever and utilize it, and I can update it. But we're going to go a level deeper. We're going to create coursework and courses that people can use after they read the book to let the book come to life. And so I said, okay, let's build 4 courses. Okay. We're going to be like a college course, but it's going to be very actionable and visual for the audience where anyone can learn this. And we said, okay, course 101 is going to be core foundations. That's going to be a step-by-step guide to the essential principles of building your hard asset empire. And I said, okay, well, let's go a step further. Let's start class 201 if you want to keep going. Okay. And we said, okay, we're going to call it incremental growth assets. And it's going to be strategies for stable and scalable growth in your hard asset empire. And then we said, okay, what if someone wants to keep going, keep learning? We said, okay, let's develop course 301, and that's legacy and vision planning. And so what that does is it helps you create and build a long-term legacy and strategic vision, which is what you're going to need. And then we said, okay, well, let's say people want to be ambassadors and want to teach this stuff. Let's give them a course 401 to really grow and be certified if they want to teach people how to build, because there's certified financial planners, there's RIAs, there's different institutions that can teach not only their clients, but their employees and their staff underneath them how to do this and really thrive with their clients. And so we said advanced strategies is course 401. It's really these high level tactics for maximizing input. And so people say, well, what am I going to learn from these courses in this book? And you're going to learn resilient cash flow strategies. I'm going to teach you in investing in stable market opportunities. And then I am going to show you hands-on personalize and building your hard asset blueprint, which you could download from benreinberg.com for free and get it from the book. And so it's really visual and actual. I'm very proud of it because I wanted to do something for the public and say, how do I benefit the people that are saying, how does he do it? Because no one teaches it. No one wants to unveil the curtain behind the scenes and say, how do you really do this? And so for me, people are like, well, why would you reveal this? Why would you tell people? They're going to compete with you. Actually, you know what's interesting, Jam? We get more leads, more business, more equity come through the door when we help people. And it's amazing how that works.
I mean, look, man, givers gain at the end of the day, and that's what you're doing. You're giving. It's an abundant world. Based on everything I'm hearing, you've learned so much from these mentors, especially when you're talking billionaires. Look, it's an abundant space. You have to think that way. If you think this is and I'm just going to hold on to it, guys, that is 100% going to limit how much you can grow. I am curious, though, brother, just thinking of commercial real estate, the one time that I remember where was COVID, where it was like, oh boy, now people are really struggling. Now you're in the medical space. You said one of the leading, if not the leading medical spaces, but that was a time, especially in commercial real estate, where gosh, there's some real, some question marks, and the market was certainly all over the map. People are not going to need it anymore because they're going to work from home. And you said something earlier, don't react, but rather respond. What was your response to that? What did that look like? And what was kind of, as people are freaking out and this is so new, and gosh, do we really need this commercial space anymore? What was your response to all that, Ben, as that was going on?
And it's always been strategic because we look at the areas that we invest in. So I'll give you an example where your backyard in Florida has been a great home for us in our investments. We do a lot of business in Florida with numerous states around the United States. But we realize in our acquisition criteria for years is we want pro-growth, pro-business. We want population growth. We want to reduce the risk and the external factors that can cause issues, whether it's a pandemic, it's a recession. And so if you take medical office, which we're a leader in that space, JM, is we said, well, the human body is never going out of style, okay? And even during COVID or a pandemic or recession, people still need to go to the doctor. It will always be that case. And everyone in your family goes to all the services of our tenants that we have around the country. And I realized, I said, medical office is recession and pandemic resilient. It's resilient. So a lot of our properties, especially medical, is the facilities, maybe they're closed for maybe the month of April when it first started, and or February or March when it started. And they came back within 30, 60 days, and our tenant didn't miss a beat. And there's no provision in these leases that they can claim force majeure and get rent abatement. And the medical tenants need to be there, and they need to be open for COVID. And so it worked out really well. Our retail properties did very well too. I mean, eventually they were shut down, but it's the areas that we invested in. It was the client, the environment, the climate, the environment. So being in Florida and Texas and in Tennessee and in different states that we had large presence was enabling us to have our tenants stay open. And so we did very well in COVID. In COVID, we were buying deals, we were getting great pricing, and COVID was very good to us at Alliance, and we were able to manage. It's showing that you could pivot and you could be smart and you could deal with things. I mean, I'll give you an example. So 25 years ago, when we looked at general office and then we started seeing the internet kick in, and we said, wow, general office is going to change significantly, especially in the suburbs. And it has significantly, especially if you've seen COVID. People don't need as much office space, right? Working from home, hybrid. Now people are getting back to the office. It's changing. But we saw general office and we said, this is an asset class we got to get out of. We saw that years ago. And then we said to our investors, we said, look, we're going to get into medical office because, like I said, the human body is never going out of style. And people need to go to the doctor, and it's a great, stable investment opportunity with upside. And that's what we did. And so to deal with something like COVID is we have a large presence in an asset class that is pandemic and recession resilient. So we doubled down on that before and even after the pandemic to be able to protect our capital. And so now we've opened up a multifamily division because we see there's great opportunities to buy in that shortly. So we're always a little bit ahead of the market. We're looking, we're researching, we do our homework, we show up every day. And by doing all this, JM, it's a way to mitigate risk. It's why investors from all over the world invest in alliances, syndications, and funds, because they know we're a good shepherd of capital. They know we are a good fiduciary. They know we communicate well. They know we make great decisions, and we have a track record to back it up. And so at the end of the day, is being present, being involved in the business, showing up. All the skills come out, especially during a pandemic.
I'm curious because you mentioned the TV show. Now you have the book. Now we're talking Alliance, and gosh, it sounds like you're all over the country. You said worldwide you have investors coming in. My question is really to building the team around you, because again, you have clearly a very strong vision. The principles, which I didn't get, or your values, excuse me, I didn't get a chance to write them down, but transparency, integrity,
consistency.
expertise.
Yep, consistency and expertise. Yep.
So you're clear on those, and that's great vision from a leader. But one of the things I see people challenged with to really experience the growth that you've been able to do, to be able to, like you said, I'm an expert at this, but you're still, man, you have a huge social media presence. You have the book, TV show, you have this, you have to have a team around you, brother. My question is, tell me about really finding those people and empowering them, because I find leaders often get stuck at this point where it's like, if I don't do it, it just doesn't get done as well as it needs to. You know, and you've heard that adage before. I'm just curious what kind of your philosophy is as a leader when it comes to finding your team and really, you know, empowering them so that you can do all these amazing things.
Well, we have systems and processes in place in the company, as well as my personal brand. And I have very talented people, and we hire A players, and they're accountable. And we have systems and processes and certain meetings every week to hold people accountable. And we measure through KPIs and all the different things we need to do. And the bottom line is you either perform or you're not going to be part of the Alliance universe. And that's how it works with us. And so we pay a tremendous amount of money to employees. We give them great opportunities. We give them growth. We help them design their personal life to mirror what the business is through human development. We have our own chief people officer. And at the end of the day, you either show up and you perform or you don't. And that's just the way the world works right now. We've had to change. You know, we're in one central office in Chicago like we have for years. This is more about you might be working remotely, you might be in a different office around the country. But the bottom line is, since we're not together 24/7, you're going to be measured significantly and you're going to have to perform. And if you don't, you're out. And we make it very clear. We talk about best practices at Alliance. You sign a document explaining our core values and how to conduct yourself. So everyone's pulling the wagon in the same direction, Jam, if you're going to come work at Alliance. And people enjoy that. They like the clear expectations. They like the fact that we have values. And they like the fact that the leader doesn't hide behind them. And so at the end of the day, we've been able to master how to deal with this remote hybrid workforce and how to deal with our leadership. And how I've been able to build our leadership team is hard work, finding the right people, the right talent that are going to buy into what we're doing and understand the vision and the mission. And they know they have to perform. And what I do is I'm hands off. I delegate because the numbers don't lie to me. And we have people in key roles that oversee people and manage people. But at the end of the day is you have to delegate. You have to realize, like I said, you don't have to know everything. A founder and CEO does not have to know everything. But you have to hire amazing talent. And when you do that, you can build a great leadership team and scale.
How often, you said a real big word that I think if you don't talk about this enough, this is where it gets lost as a leader. How often are you painting that vision, Ben, and really just, you know, driving home, this is what Alliance is all about. This is where we're going. So it's so clear in their mind, and I'm sure it's big enough that everybody else's fits inside of it. But how often are you delivering that to your group of executives, the investors? How often is that vision really put out there?
It's a great question. Every January, I do a State of the Union where I invite all our resources, investors, employees. And I basically go out and I say, this is what 2025 is going to look like. This is what we're doing. We're going to expand on multifamily like we did. We opened in 2024. We're going to double down and get back into industrial heavily. And I was predicting why, and it's coming true, which is great. And I tell about the vision. I talk about it, and I talk about it online. All my employees follow me. Everyone in my company reads the book, my new book, so they can understand who we are. And so I make it very crystal clear of where we're going, what our expectations are, what everyone's job is. And either you jump on the train and you come with us, or on the boat down the river, or you got to get off. And so I make it real crystal clear of my expectations and what the company's looking to do and what we're growing. And I want everyone here to be part of the growth. And so you got to buy into what we're doing. And so I do it on a frequent basis of, here's what we're doing, here's what we're going. Here's why we set up this new department. Here's other things we're doing. And so it's just constant communication for me to them.
That's awesome. How was the book writing process, brother? I know you said I'm going to take it a step further, but I will tell you, for me, it was pretty daunting, man. It was a lot of work. It was far more challenging for me than I expected. I'm curious. It sounds like it was pretty rewarding for you to talk about, something that's really been your life's work, to share it so others can build as well. But how was it, man? Did anything really surprise you as you wrote the book?
It pulled a tremendous amount of emotion out of me, because when I started writing it, I realized that no one did this for me. And that pulled a lot of emotion out of me. It pulled a lot of emotion writing it, talking about the lessons I learned, being able to reflect on deals we've did, and talking about something that I've learned from scratch was just so rewarding to me. And so when we started the book, we looked at it, and I'd write it and go back to the drawing board and write again, and different iterations and versions. And you're right. I mean, it's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, we've had meetings where we said, okay, well, how do we lay this out? Well, let's create a blueprint. And when that came about, then things really started coming together. And when we finished the book, it was interesting. It was it was almost like when you sold the property. Like, it wasn't exciting when we finished it, because it was the excitement of writing it and coming together. And then finally it was done. It was such a relief. And it's interesting because August 5th, we're doing a real official book launch, which we haven't done yet. And I'm excited. And we've had a lot of people go online and order it, like attorneys and accountants buying it in bulk, and RIAs and different financial professionals that want to give it out to their clients as a gift. And so we offered, hey, you could buy it in bulk, because people were asking for it. And so for me, the book was a way that I wanted to teach people through their mindset. At the end of the book, JM, I talk about mindset. And I did that on purpose. And it was a way for me to kind of talk about, like, okay, you're going to go through life and you're going to go through some challenges, and how you're going to deal with it. And so I help shape people's mindset through practicing gratitude and letting go, and removing distractions and energy suckers out of your life, and auditing your inner circle, and protecting your mind from harmful content and conversation. I talk about all this because these were the things that no one taught me. I had to teach myself. And so when I was writing this book, and how long it took me to put together, it was very rewarding, but it was very emotional, because I was able to reflect back on my career and my life and really feel the emotion of, wow, I remember this situation, or I remember this lesson, and look what it did for me. And so it was extremely rewarding for me and cathartic, because it allows me to share the knowledge I have with people, so they don't have to go through the pain and challenges that I did. And to me, it was extremely rewarding to feel that as I was writing the book.
Isn't it interesting, though, Ben, how it is those painful moments that in the moment, it's like, dude, this sucks. I mean, you want to go, woe is me. You want to tell everybody how much this sucks. And yet when you look back, and same for myself, when I look back during some of the hardest times, those are some of the times I am most grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to stay present in the moment, because people right now that are listening to the show, they're going through a hard time. I guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's life.
Yes, it is.
And yet there's a lesson there. There's something to be grateful and thankful for. It's so fascinating to me how in the moment it just sucks so bad. And yet when you get through it, because inevitably you will get through it, this too shall pass. Those are sometimes when you look back and you say, man, thank you. Thank you for that lesson, God, or whatever you believe in, universe. Like, thank you for that really painful lesson.
Yeah, I always say, if you sit in the discomfort, you'll feel it and you'll learn a lot from it. And you're right, this shall pass. That was something I learned, is that this shall pass. I mean, people ask me, like, wouldn't it have been easier if you came from money to do what you do and started me? And I said, I wouldn't change a thing, because all the struggles, all the challenges, all the late nights, all the weekends working, all the resources I had to build, the growth and the development and teaching myself, I wouldn't change a thing, because if I didn't grow up the way I did and come from my background, I wouldn't be the man I am today. There's no way. And a lot of people that work for these family offices and trusts, they lose money because they don't have those core principles and foundation. And so I'm extremely grateful for where I've come from and how much I build. And, you touched on it. You said, well, you don't really talk about your wins and all and successes and everything, because I expect it, and I expect myself on a high level, and I don't need to tell people how great I am. I don't need to tell people. I don't need to. I look online on social media and I see my team and they're posting stuff, but I let them do their thing because that's what the audience wants. But when people get to know the real Ben Reinberg, which is my Instagram handle, I am a humble, down-to-earth Midwestern kid who just worked hard and inspiring people to know that you could do it too. You could build wealth. And so at the end of the day, that's what I've been able to do. And a lot of people out there, I know you're struggling. You're in a world of uncertainty, and I get it. And the problem today is, most people don't have a roadmap of where to go and how to build an empire and do the things they want to do. And that's what I was able to accomplish in this book. As I said, I'm going to give you the roadmap. I'm going to give you the blueprint. It's up to you to walk through the threshold. And that's what I did. And it's not easy, but if you do it, you'll see great reward in the future.
Yeah. Well, it's a gift, man. Yeah, congrats on the August 5th book launch. We'll absolutely make sure to, guys, support it. Let's get out there. I am curious though, because you are such a humble guy that humility clearly comes through. Clearly, you have kiddos that they weren't in the financial position that you were as a kid.
Right.
How were you able to really make sure that they stayed level-headed, they stayed grounded? Because it is something that's different. It's similar for myself, where I didn't, I'm very middle class, if you will, and my kids had maybe opportunities that I didn't as a kid, but it was always real important to me for them to have a respect for money, to really value a dollar, and just know that it's not getting handed to you. What was kind of your philosophy with your kids as you were raising them? Because this is a tricky thing. You did well, that's awesome, and yet, as you said, some of those core values that you learned coming from a humble background have allowed you to do that. How do you impart that with your kiddos?
It's a really powerful question, because I went through that challenge. I said, wow, I want to give them the opportunities that I never had, which I did. But I also knew that I had to teach them the value of the dollar. And what I did was, all my kids worked. I made my kids earn everything. I taught them that what money looked like and how to invest it and what it meant. And I did things that no one did for me as a kid. And I felt that having honest conversations about money helped them understand that. And I taught them to be humble. I taught them gratitude. And I taught them all the things I learned in my life and career as a young man and now as an adult. And I was able to put them on a budget when they were in high school. What I did was to teach them the value of dollar. I would say, okay, Joey Reinberg, my oldest, you're going to be on a budget, and I'll help you pay for your gas and everything. Because I never had a budget or someone giving me money like this. I worked. That's how I earned money as a kid. And so for them, they had a lot of opportunities. So I gave them on a budget, and when the 25th or 26th day and they ran out of money, you saw them eating at home, and you saw them doing the right things, and realized, like, I'm not going to give them $1 more until the month ends and the beginning of the month starts the following month. And that taught them something. It taught them the value of the dollar. It taught them that to appreciate the things you have, whether you have clothes on your back, you have a car to drive. And my kids have a real grounded sense of value. And I'm very proud of that. They're great kids. They understand what money's about. And we've done an incredible job teaching them and being down to earth and even though they could have whatever they need, we realized that they had to understand what hard work is. They had to understand that they're not wealthy. They're going to build their own wealth, and I'm going to help them get there. But they got to do it themselves, not dad. There is no free handouts. You got to earn whatever you have, and that's how I live my life, and that's how I live it with them. And so, yeah, nice vacations, and they got private lessons, and my 3 kids have gone to incredible schools at USC and Cornell, and fortunate enough, I never had a chance to do any of that stuff. But at the end of the day, they're grounded. And I did that on purpose because I said, life's not easy, and you're going to be tested, and nothing's going to be handed to you. You got to earn it. And I instilled that today. And so I have 2 kids out in the real world and working, and they realize it's like, they're like, wow, Dad, this is pretty impressive what you've been able to do in your career. I'm like, it's not easy out there. But if you put the time in, you work, and you have a leg up because you have a great network from the schools you went to and the foundation to learn and grow what you've had the ability to, they'll be wildly successful because it was the principles of foundation I established that was able to keep them grounded. And when they could have not been grounded, they could have just been lazy and don't appreciate anything. So,
congrats, man. I mean, great schools, and I'm sure they're going to do very, very well with those principles. I can't believe how fast this went, Ben. We are already at 45 minutes in.
It's great.
If there's anything I didn't know enough to ask you that you want to make sure to share real quick, a minute or less, where you're like, gosh, Shane, you should have known to ask this, please, I'd love for you to share. And if people want to know more about the book, they want to connect with you, best place to find you online.
Well, if you want to invest in commercial real estate, if you go to alliancecgc.com, that's alliancecgc.com, you can invest with us in our funds, our syndications. If you want to learn about commercial real estate, we have a ton of content. You can subscribe to my newsletter. I talk about commercial real estate and business and all the things you want to learn. I talk about crypto. I talk about what's going on in the United States and around the world. And so feel free to subscribe to our newsletter, which we call a blog. On Alliance CGC's website, there's plenty of content you can learn about real estate, commercial real estate, medical office, you name it. And then if you really want to learn about me, go to benreinberg.com. You can follow me on all the social media platforms. You can watch our new show. Our new show is all about educating, okay? Interviewing some of the best minds in the world in studio, and to be able for you to learn. And I do a front to camera to stop the camera to teach you what that guest just said. So everything, you will get a lot of knowledge of it. If you want to learn how to build a hard ass empire, feel free, pick up my book. You can get on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. You get on my website. If you go to benreinberg.com, you can get the book. You can download a free hard asset blueprint. You can look at taking the courses. They're cheap. I made them affordable. And I give great content. I'm constantly teaching. And so if you follow me, you'll see it's not about my personal life and what I do and all this. I know they want me to start doing that, but it's all about adding value to you and how you can learn and grow and how I can create an impact and change your life. And so if you follow me on all different social media platforms, you see it. You can watch my show, and it's just all about growth and education for me.
Amazing, brother. Well, congrats on all your hard-earned success. It's amazing. And just thanks for being on the show, man, sharing so much value. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. It was great seeing you, and really appreciate the time.
Well, like I said, you guys, so much was about the mindset. I don't know how many times he said the word grateful, but it just was so authentic and genuine. That's just who he is. That's what really got him through those tough times. The other thing I picked up throughout is this growth. You hear the word growth mindset. You hear like growth and always wanting to get more and better. And I found it so appealing to hear somebody that has done as well as he has, and continues to pursue excellence and greatness and just wants to get better. The other thing I constantly heard was with growth was having those mentors, surrounding himself with great people. So guys, I'm going to absolutely pick up Hard Assets and Hard Money for Hard Times. I think anybody that wants to really grow their portfolio, this is one of the best ways to do it. And here's a question I would ask you. Do you know anybody that has a huge net worth that doesn't have real estate as a part of their portfolio? I don't. And he literally says, this is why I wrote the book. I wrote the book so that you can absolutely gain from my 30 some odd years that he put into this trade, and you can choose to build your own portfolio. I found it to be a remarkable gift to the world that he's done, and I just really so appreciate him coming on. So hopefully you get a chance to check it out and absolutely share what Ben has put out there, and make sure to share this show with other people as well, because I thought there were so many good nuggets that he presented throughout. Until next time, remember, your mindset matters. I appreciate you all. We'll talk soon.